morning, everybody. It's Dark 30 here down at the Resurrection Pass trailhead off of the Seward Highway. It's about 6:40 in the morning, and we are headed out on a backpacking trip up to the Devil's Pass cabin. So we'll be staying there for a few nights, and it's about a 10-mile hike up with about 1,400 feet of elevation gain. We did this trip last year in July and wanted to come back and see it in the fall. And so here we are. It's fall, and we're going to go for our, maybe yearly hike up to Devil's Pass. It's tough to get these cabin reservations, so you never know if you'll be able to stay there every time. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get our packs on. They're sitting back there. They're both over 50 pounds. We got about a 50 pound and a 60 pound pack to go up, and carrying lots of kerosene because that's how you heat the cabin, and it is set to be pretty chilly there this week. Overnight temperatures in the high 30s and daytime temperatures in the 40s and 50s. So anyway, we're gonna get moving here. All right, well, we have our packs all loaded up here at the trailhead, and now that it's just after 7, it is a little bit more light, and we can proceed down the trail without being quite as worried about the bears. We do have our bear spray ready to rock and roll if we have to, hopefully not, and we're on our way. And a few minutes into the hike, you come to a nice little bridge and stream crossing. Some really nice fall colors this time. Well, we're probably about 2.5 miles in. It's definitely slow going with these big packs. The colors and scenery are starting to get nice as we get up into the valley. It's been kind of raining on and off, so it's a little bit wet out here too. The whole valley got absolutely hammered with rain last night and the night before, but today it looks like we're only getting sprinkles maybe until this afternoon. But this is the surroundings. It's pretty cool.
Drop the bear spray.
Oops, don't drop your bear spray. Alrighty, we are gonna keep going. With all the rain, all the waterfalls on the trail are running nicely. Well, it's 10:20. We've stopped for first lunch, and it is cold and drizzly. Definitely have to be prepared when hiking trips like this in Alaska. You got 10 miles to get to the cabin. We're at pretty much the halfway point. We're right at 5.1 miles or something. There's kind of a little campsite back behind me over my shoulder. There's a little ravine and a backpacking camp area. But yeah, it's pretty cold and wet, and that's about all there is to it. To reduce weight, we're using a SteriPen, which uses ultraviolet light to sanitize water. So as long as you can get a reasonably clear water source without a lot of turbidity in it, you just put it in this Nalgene bottle, put the SteriPen in, and it lights up and cleans out any of the little bad things that'll tear up your gut. It's a good way to save some weight when you're hiking, as long as you know that there's fresh water sources along the way. Well, here we are. I think about, not quite 2.5, 2.25 miles from the cabin. Again, nice valley. It's very pretty. Fall colors are great. It is raining and not very nice. And it turns out we're getting too old for this. We're just carrying way too much weight, more than we should. But saving grace is we're not going to be carrying most of it back down, because it's 15 pounds of kerosene each plus all the food. So there'll be a lot that disappears while we're up here at the cabin for a few days. The sun's starting to come out, which definitely changes things. Helps with the attitude at the very least. Walking into this valley here, I'm reminded of our last hike when we came through here a C-130 popped out from around that corner out of the clouds and buzzed right over us. It was kind of freaky because you couldn't hear anything until it kind of popped right out of there. You know, there was no warning. It was really interesting. I could imagine being on the wrong end of that in a foreign conflict would not feel too good. Well, we have made it to Devil's Pass, 2,400 feet of elevation. My friends back in Colorado would laugh at such a paltry number, but that's okay. Here we are. It's beautiful. Fall was definitely a good time to come back. It's pretty up here. We're now about a mile from the cabin. We're at this lake. I can't remember the name of it, and I don't feel like looking it up on X at the moment, but it's a nice landmark because you know you're getting really close to the cabin. Again, I think we're about a mile from here, so almost there. And the rain has kind of tapered off, so now it's a little bit nicer. We've got a breeze, but I'll take cool and breezy over cool and rainy any day. And as soon as you come to this last big open valley along the trail, you know you're almost at the cabin. We're so close. Almost there. And there's a little blue sky in there. That's turning into maybe a much nicer day than anticipated. Onward. After backpacking 10 miles with a 55-pound pack, few things are as exciting as the sight of that outhouse and the roof of the cabin. We're here at the junction of the trails to Cooper Landing, and then if you go up that way, you go to Hope. But right now, we are going to that cabin. One of the pervasive problems with these cabins is that people think that they can just use them anytime they want, even though there's a sign right on the trail that says, cabin permit users only beyond this point. Please respect privacy. But last time we came up, there were people infesting the cabin.
With their filthy dog, leaving dog fur everywhere.
Yeah, it was a real mess. But I think all is quiet here today. And there she is, the Devil's Pass cabin. Beautiful. Home for the next few days. And empty, which is perfect. Well, this is the Devil's Pass cabin. Pretty spacious. 2 big bunks with a little ladder. And you can store stuff underneath. There's some hooks here and there. You can hang your things. Hooks over the stove, especially nice for drying your wet clothes. These stoves are a little temperamental sometimes. Hopefully this one will work properly. The folks that were checking out of the cabin that we walked past on the way up here said that it was working fine, so that's good news. The last time we had to repair it. And yeah, not too much else to say. A couple little odds and ends left behind. Looks like maybe, I don't know, dog food, I think. This looks like dog food. And this is cool. There's a little metal plate for putting your stove on for when you're cooking inside. We got here and it's pretty clean, and think we're ready to just settle in for a little while. Lighting this stove can be a little tricky. There's a few things you have to do. One, you have to open this valve. That should be closed when you leave the cabin. And similarly, on the tank outside, there's a valve just like it that should also be closed when you leave the cabin. So you have to open that one as well. And then this is the oil flow control, which you see this little point. When that points to this 0, it's off. And then you turn it next to these little dashes to increase the flow. So when you want to start it, turn it up to like the second or third one, and you'll start to see a puddle form in the bottom of the stove. And then you drop a piece of burning paper onto the puddle, which will ignite the fuel. And then the stove will do its thing. And then you just adjust that flow rate to set how warm or cool you want the stove to operate. It's not too bad if you're just patient with it and understand that what you're trying to do is get a puddle of kerosene in the bottom to start burning. Once you have the stove running, you'll start to hear a little bit of a rumble from it. Hopefully you can hear that on the camera here. That lets you know that it is burning properly. This top does get quite hot, which is useful because you can set your little cook pot on there and have free hot water as a consequence of running the heat. So that's pretty handy. It is time for all-important morning coffee. For backpacking, I like these little Starbucks Via packets. They're just super simple. They're easy. I've got to turn on the stove here. Yeah, nice, good. This is the MSR Dragonfly, kind of a classic backpacking stove. I don't know if they even still sell it. We've had it for years. I'll get some water going. Well, after yesterday's punishing hike up here, we slept for about 12 hours. Got up around 7 this morning. And today I think is going to be pretty much a rest day. It's supposed to be kind of just cold and raining and cloudy today. So I think we're going to kind of hang out at the cabin and maybe play some cards and kind of just relax. Got my coffee, of course. But still, even though the weather's not wonderful, it looks nice. It looks cool. This valley is really neat to look at. It's a beautiful scene to wake up to. But anyway, for now, we're going to get after making some fresh water. We've got our bag from down at the stream. And we'll set up our gravity filter here for the day and just have it kind of constantly making fresh water because we're going to wash some clothes and make food and all that other stuff, and it all takes water. This is our backpacking gravity filter. We have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. It's a little fussy to get working sometimes. It likes to get air bubbles stuck in the tube and then it doesn't flow right. But overall, you can make a gallon of fresh, clean water unattended. You just hang it up, fill it, and then this bag gets all the clean water in it. And so when it's working, it's awesome. It's just, I think we need to find a a newer, better one. This one's several years old, and I don't know, it's seen a lot of miles, so I think it'd be good to maybe get something that works a little better. But anyway, it's what we've got, and it is how we are making our fresh water on this trip. For breakfast today, we are going to have toasted English muffins and homemade freeze-dried omelet. We have a freeze dryer at home, and so we like to make our own stuff, our own backpacking food, rather than buy that like Mountain House stuff that's super overpriced. And then we have freeze-dried yogurt chunks.
Dandelion and blueberry.
Dandelion flavor and blueberry flavor. Also homemade. We make our own yogurt, and then we mix in our own jams or jellies or whatever, and then freeze dry that. Alright, in go the eggs. Well, it's just a cup of water and then our little egg packet. Are we turning off the stove, or does it need to keep going, or?
Maybe let it just for a minute.
Okay. And there's our little feast. We've got our omelet, toasted English muffins, and of course coffee. And now it's time to eat. Well, even though it's raining a little bit, we are going to go take a walk, go down the valley a ways, and explore a bit. We've walked down that way a few miles previously on a different trip, but you know, now it's fall, things look different, so we're gonna go check it out, and we'll just see how far we go and how long we take, because the rain makes it not the super most fun thing, but we're gonna make the most of it. So walking from the cabin south, you can get to Cooper Landing in about 10 miles, or you can go north and get to Hope in about 20 miles. So you're pretty well isolated out here. I mean, it's 10 miles to the Seward Highway, 10 miles to Cooper Landing, or 20 miles to Hope. And a pretty good walk, no matter which way you want to go. Along the trail, we came across a nice little patch of lingonberries and crowberries. There have been blueberries along the way as well, and very abundant high bush cranberry. A lot of this stuff isn't ready yet. It hasn't frosted up here, so like these lingonberries, I just tasted some. They're still pretty starchy and tart. They're not really ready to pick. They need a few more weeks, I think, just to get some frost on them. Throughout the valley, there's a series of guideposts which are there for the snowmobile season or snow machine season. The valley is open in alternating years when December falls in an odd year. So this year, the valley is not open to snow machine travel. Next year it should be, assuming nothing strange happens, and I think one of our goals is to try to get out to one of these cabins on the snow machines next time it's open. Right before the trail drops back down to the creek on the right, we decided we wanted to explore this little plateau area. Yeah, so if you kind of break off to the left, right where the trail heads down to the creek, you can explore this big open area, and you can see there's game trails through here, or maybe old kind of unofficial use trails, but it's just kind of a neat spot to go look around and explore. So if you look through here, you can kind of see the little trail that goes through. It's really just a little game trail. Well, there's a little backpacker camp out here with a bear box, and we're gonna sit on it and use it as a sofa while we have our lunch. Today's lunch is tortillas with peanut butter and honey. We found a really awesome patch of blueberries. They're nice and big and fat and ripe, and we have been picking for a little while. We want to do something special with them for our meals in the next couple of days. Since we're going to be kind of stuck in the cabin with some really heavy rain, I think we're going to make the best use of this natural foraging opportunity here. I mean, it's crazy how thick these are and how big the berries are. They're so nice, and they taste fantastic. It's just a massive patch of them. All that red you see, that's all blueberry plants, and it looks really good. Anyway, our hands are cold from picking here. These are all wet, and we're gonna have to head back to the cabin. Well, we finished picking the berries we wanted to get, and now the wind is picking up, and the weather forecast was for heavy rain to start about 1 o'clock. It's almost 12:30 now, so we're gonna head back to the cabin and try and stay dry today. Go play with our berries, clean them up, get the leaves off, and get ready to turn them into something delicious. We have had our dinner, which was a delicious combination of various things. We had some shells and cheese sauce, probably I think from like a mac and cheese thing, some Old Bay, and some home freeze-dried shrimp. Now we're going to make a special Alaskan dessert using some of the wild berries that we foraged earlier. So we've got our bowl of blueberries, and we're going to put some stuff in with it and cook it up on the stove here in the cabin. So we've got our fresh, happy, wild Alaskan blueberries. These were amazing. It was such a nice patch of berries to find. Got a little sugar that I brought for my coffee, but this is a worthwhile sacrifice. A little more. I'm gonna make just kind of like a stovetop sauce slash jam, whatever you want to call it. We've got a little honey here. I forget what that was for. That was for the peanut butter sandwiches, yeah. So we'll add that in. That's gonna be really good. And we'll put some butter in there, a little bit. Just a little pat of butter. And then we're just gonna add a tiny bit of water and put this over on the stove and let that simmer for a bit. Some water in there. Drop like a couple of ounces of water. And now it's time to put it on the stove. And as I mentioned, this is super convenient because you're already running the stove to heat the room, and we've got it on like 3 on the little dial down there, which will pretty quickly boil water in a pot on here. So it's a really good heat setting for the room, and it's good for making hot water.
Do you need
Steamed up the
lights?
camera. There we go. Oh yeah, that looks good. Well, we have our blueberry reduction now. It's a pretty thick sauce, which I think we're gonna just sort of try and eat. I don't know, eat on a tortilla. We'll see how that goes. This might be kind of a mess, but that's pretty thick. Looks pretty good. Yeah, this is just going to be a mess. We have to eat over this bowl. There's no containing this.
Oh, okay.
It's just not that. It's not thick enough really for that. So we'll just sort of have to put it in
You
there.
can have that whole tortilla if you want, and I'll just eat the sauce. Where's all the sauce in there?
No, there's still some in the pot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to eat this over the bowl and hope for the best. Looks good though. Well, that was very delicious. Couldn't really be much happier with that. What do you think?
Yummy.
Yeah, that's really good. Wild blueberries, a little bit of honey, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of butter, a little bit of water, and then just reduced on the stove. One of our new favorite things to make when we're backpacking, especially cabin backpacking, is cinnamon buns. We've got a recipe that works pretty well, and we can make them on our little backpacking stove. So this is the recipe. You can screenshot that if you want. And today we're going to adapt it a little bit and use some of the blueberries that we picked the other day. So this is the dough mix. And what's in the dough mix?
Flour, salt, baking powder. It's copycat Bisquick.
Oh, okay.
It's copycat Bisquick, and I use powdered butter instead of a stick of butter.
Okay.
Make sure your hands are clean. But yeah, copycat Bisquick with
or
powdered
you could
butter.
just use Bisquick.
Or you could just use Bisquick
Yeah.
if you wanted to. That's all it is.
So yeah, you just kind of want this dough to come together, just come together.
Like pie dough, almost. This is going to take a little while.
Yeah.
That's getting close.
I'm just having a problem where the dough is just kind of shaggy. It wasn't really coming together all the way. Because you have to be able to roll it out into kind of like a snake. Use an Nalgene bottle as like a improvised rolling pin. That's getting so there's
You'll have to.
everything kind of rolled out. Alright, the next step here is to add some butter. Hopefully you can have some that's a little softer than this. It's a little chilly in the cabin, so this butter's a little on the stiff side. We're going to add butter, and then we have a mix of cinnamon and brown sugar.
Yep.
That will get sprinkled on and spread over the butter.
Okay. And ready to roll. Why is it so cold in here?
Maybe.
It's like not cooperating.
I think I remember what we did last time. We ended up buttering the parchment paper, which made that a lot easier. We'll do that.
Yeah, on the next one. Okay. interpretive cinnamon bun.
And once you've got it rolled up, you can put it into a silicone cupcake cup, or a muffin cup, or whatever you want to call it. So this second one is rolling a little better. I think letting the dough rest a bit might have been a good thing, might have helped. And then we put some butter on this piece of parchment paper. We'll see if this one turns out any closer to a cinnamon roll.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, there. Dump all the extra goodies on top of there. So now we have our 2 cinnamon buns ready to go into the oven. I'll show you that in just a second. So our oven for making these consists of our little backpacker pot and a couple of canning rings, you know, the lid rings from canning jars. So you're making a steam oven, and so you just set the little cups in on the canning rings, and kind of balance them delicately. And you need enough water in here to kind of boil for about 10 minutes. That will put enough heat into the dough to cook it. All right, well, we're gonna get this going on a boil and come back in a little bit. We've got our boil started. So now 10 minutes of boiling. Our 10-minute timer has elapsed. So now we're going to turn off the stove and let it sit for another 10 in the steam. Don't take the lid off. And there are the cinnamon buns. They look pretty good.
Yep, they cooked.
Yeah, those feel like they're done. All right, great. These should come out pretty easily from these little silicone doodads. Be sure not to waste any drops of your precious cinnamon goo. And I'll just, there we go, yum. And we've got our blueberry sauce that we just sort of improvised this morning. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. That is a good-looking breakfast. Well, this is quite a treat to have out in the backcountry, 10 miles from nowhere. Cinnamon bun with wild blueberry sauce. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, here's one for the Weird Stuff People Do book. We were sitting here having our lunch, and we saw some backpackers come in over the ridge, and you know, we weren't sure which direction they were headed, but eventually we saw them kind of come up towards the outhouse there. We can see it from the lunch table behind us, you know, right there. And the door opened and closed a couple times, and then they disappeared. And while we were out on the porch doing some stuff with our, you know, our water filter, they were like
waving at us from inside there's a window on the side of the outhouse, and they were waving at us, and we're like, yeah, hi, like, what are you doing? And then they kind of just, I don't know, after like half an hour, packed up and left the outhouse. I had this horrible feeling that they had lunch in the outhouse, which is possibly one of the worst things I could think of ever happening while backpacking, is eating in an outhouse. But here we are in the weird world of stuff people do that you just don't understand.
Well, we're having our afternoon hot beverage, and I wanted to follow up on the Outhouse People. So I went up to, use the outhouse earlier, and they left the place a complete mess. There was like leaves and dirt and grass all over the floor. There was mud on the toilet. It was like, there's a broom in there. They could have just swept it out when they were done. But this is what I meant when I talked about that sign on the way in here that says, you're only allowed to be here if you're have a permit for the cabin. This is why, it's like you come in, we come in and we clean up before we even start using the place, and then we clean up when we leave. And, for other people who aren't supposed to be here coming in and making a mess that we then have to go clean up again, it's just not cool. People, don't do it. If you're gonna go use somebody else's place that they've rented, clean up after yourself. Come on. We got a little bit of a break in the weather, and so we are going to go on a day hike. We always like to take some little side trips while we're out on these cabin adventures, and so today we are going to hike up towards Resurrection Pass up that way and go see what we can see. We took a walk up there last time we were at this cabin, but we didn't go very, very far, and I think we want to go a little higher up and see if we can get some nice views. The clouds look to be clearing a little bit more today, and it's not raining, at least not yet. So we'll see how this goes. Even in the short time we've been here, the fall colors have definitely intensified. They've gotten more saturated. It's a really great time to be here. We've been passing by some pretty large canine prints, and I mean, that's as big as my hand. There have been some people out hiking with dogs, but I don't think I've seen any dogs that were this big. But that's pretty fresh. That's a fresh print. I don't know. Dog or wolf? What do you think? We have made it to Resurrection Pass, elevation 2,600 feet. And more of the same. It is really, really pretty up here. The colors are the same, terrain is the same, but we're starting to get a little bit of blue sky, which is super cool. Haven't seen that in a little bit. Our goal now is to head up to that little knob out there and get a good view, and probably stop for lunch, or maybe first lunch, or who knows, we'll have a snack out there. But the blue sky is extremely encouraging. We made it up to our little knoll, and it's blueberries as far as the eye can see, all that red. We're actually standing on a bunch of blueberries. They're just everywhere. But we're gonna pause here and have a snack at least, maybe lunch. It's what time? 11:37. So a little half-hour excursion off the trail up the side of the valley to get a better view. We've finished our first lunch and we're gonna head down the hill and go check out these little series of ponds down there. It just looks like a cool spot to look at. That line up there looks kind of like an old beaver dam. It seems like it's full of sticks and mud. Seems an unlikely place for beaver just because there's really no trees up here. But I guess it could have been, I don't know, maybe a long time ago. I wouldn't expect to see them up here, but in support of my theory that maybe that's a beaver dam, an old beaver dam over there, this sure looks an awful lot like a beaver lodge. You know, these piled up sticks and mud, nice mound. I mean, that's it doesn't match the natural surroundings here, so I'm gonna go with beaver lodge. Probably long since abandoned though. We've come across some wildlife finally. Not entirely sure what they are. They look a little tall. Could those be caribou?
Oh, maybe.
Because I think I see antlers sticking up. I think those might be caribou, of all things. All the way up here. Caribou, huh? It's either that or... yeah, they don't look like sheep. Their legs are too long. We're just about to the end of our day hike. We are at the end of this valley up here, and we can see the cabin down here. So we're really close. Well, the sun finally came all the way out. It's turned into an absolutely gorgeous day. We've got still a little bit of cloud cover down here, down the valley, but I mean, just look at that. That's incredible. And then above the cabin, we've got clear blue skies. It's looking really fantastic. It's quite a nice change from the rain that we've been getting. But anyway, I've just got to say, if you ever have the chance to come check out the Devil's Pass cabin in the fall, it is an incredible time to come up here. The colors and everything are just gorgeous. The cabin is all cleaned up and ready to go for the next folks. We ended up having 2 extra gallons of kerosene, thanks in part because the people who were here before us had extra. We brought up 4 gallons with us and we didn't end up needing all of it. So enjoy. Hopefully whoever comes here next can enjoy that. But we are ready to get out of here. It has been a great trip. The sky is on fire behind us, and I don't know if the phone is really going to do it justice, but it looks absolutely amazing in person. What a perfect way to wake up to our last day here. At any rate, I hope that you enjoyed visiting this cabin with us. I don't think I'm going to film much of the hike down back to the trailhead because you've seen all that, and we're just going to try to hustle and get down there before the really bad rain sets in. It's supposed to rain really hard this afternoon, and we don't want to be stuck in it. So anyway, thanks again for watching. I hope that you're enjoying these adventure series videos where we go out and explore Alaska and show you what's out there. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and we'll see you next time.